more than I was trying to relate it to him. But it is so overwhelming. I know, Jeff, when you see it, you will set straight down, and you will be there for a long time because it's so powerful, so overwhelming, and it's been in front of us for a long time. We just haven't ever looked at it, and for whatever reason, I've had this ability to look at things and decode them and see them, see what's behind it. And it's really a spiritual eye, but you do not need the spiritual eye to see it when it's explained to you. You can just, you can see it for yourself once it's explained. And, I'll sure, when you come up, I'll show you.
I'm ready to come right now.
Yeah. It's a pretty long drive, but we got to get you up here. And go ahead.
I mean, you just told me about this picture. You've told me some different angles on it. This visual information you have. You've given me some other angles on it too, which are going to go in our book, and it's going to be something to.
Yeah.
I mean, when I see it, I'm going to be not knowing what to expect.
Yeah. I sure can't tell you too much, but they're always listening and all that, and I want this to be a surprise. But folks, I have two things that are going to shock the world, and I've had them for a long time. Proof of that we're in a matrix, I've had for 3 years and 2 months. The other one I've had for 5 years. And the other one is proof of another dimension. Visual, photographic proof of another dimension. And, it's, and who lives there. Yeah, it's not just another dimension, but I've got pictures of who is on the other side, and I know how to redo it. It's just amazing stuff. And I initially I didn't want to believe it, and then I wrestled with, well, why do I know? What do I want to do with this? And so we'll see. I think you're the right guy to help me get it published, since you've got a few books of your own, corporatism being one of them. Hey, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, let's talk more about the future and robots. I have a very interesting instant message here from Dennis Z. By the way, folks, I never give out your last name, so don't worry. And he says, if we humans are only being toyed with by the Illuminati beast system, and they are really in full control, knowing and feeding off of our thoughts for whatever purpose, then what can we do? And it goes on from there, but what can we do? Well, if they're feeding off of our fear and our hate, Dennis, that's why I suggest today is manifest a different thought, manifest love and forgiveness and peace, and dwell on those things. Christ told us about this. He said, and how to deal with it. He said, ignore them. Ignore them. Do not give your attention to evil. Now, I do think that we need to know that it's there. Even he dealt with, demons from time to time. So, I think that's what you got to do in the meantime. But I do expect, Dennis, that there is a purpose. It's not just endless life source from them. That there's an end point, and it's pretty dark and drastic. So, what else do you want to talk about, Jeffrey?
Well, on that note, with what Dennis is talking about, I mean, I've said here on air what the solution is we have they need to create mass media to trick us. They need to get us to telementationally create our reality. They need to do all these tricks and so forth. And yet I can will into existence with my telementational soul, as described in my book, Telamentation, I can will into existence all kinds of love and healing and things with the people around me. And that's certainly not what they're all about. So the point I'm trying to get at here is I said they can feel our feelings and they can listen to our thoughts, but I am of the strong, I've got lots of reasons for saying they can't directly control our soul. And
right.
Like I said, I've got all kinds of reasons for that. Well, I can just tell you quickly, the soul is intelligently designed by the Creator. And I've got a whole bunch. I'm not just saying that because it sounds great. I never really say anything about having a whole bunch of reasons, not just bunk reasons, like really solid philosophical or empirical reasons. And I have them for that as well. And if that's true, and what we are as a soul, and it's intelligently designed by a Creator, then it's untouchable. So they can try. A lot of our thoughts and feelings are upriver a little bit from the soul. And, most of us are completely out of touch with our soul. We're always looking out at the world and at our TVs and at our jobs we hate. So we're completely oblivious. And that's why we can be controlled. But if we just
However, if we have free will, then we can surrender that soul too, though. So they can, right. I think, take over. But you would have to surrender it willingly. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing, folks. I think they're giving it up.
Mm-hmm. Yes, some people. I remember I was telling you about crystal scrying, I think last week, and how I think it's so dangerous. Well, I looked into that after because I was so alarmed by that, and I did run into all kinds of cases where high level Freemasons and others of the Aleister Crowley types had been into it and said that their consciousnesses were taken over by other. Just a classic possession case. So something like. And maybe not even just free will to give it, because you're right. Free will, if we have it, which I think we do innately, but not at the surface level. At the deep soul level, our soul is defined as freedom. But if we can give it up in other ways too, such as dangerous techniques like crystal scrying. That's my take.
Yeah, and I think that's where I believe, as I think we've talked either last week or off air, that. I believe in the walk-ins, the possession where they can come into this dimension, but I think their stay is kind of limited, but we'll see. But I think there is an end point. I think there's a final supper, if you will.
Last Supper.
So, yeah, the Last Supper. But I think there's a twist to it that's going to surprise everybody. Anyway, there's, let me mention, there's, we had that heavy show last night where I was presenting the idea that the Old Testament God is Satan. And if you missed that show, folks, just go to don'ttreadonme.tv and listen to last night's show before you judge it. And by the way, the audio was broken up when we were doing the live show, but it recorded perfectly, and we were able to download it without a hiccup whatsoever, the whole 2 hours. So do go listen to it. And even if you did hear it and you have questions, if you just listen again, maybe you'll grasp it a little better. But there is something in the Old Testament that I found interesting about 25 years ago, and that was there's who is it? It's not Daniel. It's in the book of Daniel, and I cannot recall the chapter, but Daniel is talking about that the time is stopped and the Ancient of Days sits and he comes in front of the throne and all of humanity is there in front of the throne and blah blah blah, and he's talking about these beings that surround the seat and all of this. But the most interesting part is the last words in the last verse, and he says, "But after seeing this," well, I'll tell you when we get back.